What if one day you turn around and find that you are alone? People have disappeared. Completely. No screams, no signs of struggle. Only clothes, watches, and glasses, neatly folded as if their owners had vanished into thin air. The main character is a projectionist named Paul. He reads a book by the light of a flashlight strapped to his head, symbolizing the last frontier between light and darkness. Flirting with a saleswoman in the lobby is part of his normal life. But when he returns, the city is suddenly plunged into darkness. When the lights come back on, the cinema is empty. All that remains of the people are their clothes. One security guard is still alive. But as soon as he enters the cloakroom, he too is swallowed up by the darkness. Someone or something seems to be hunting from the shadows. Meanwhile, in an abandoned hospital, Dr. Rosemary wanders through empty corridors with a flashlight. She hears moans and finds a patient waking up from anesthesia on an operating table. Emergency lights flash, and the man disappears before her eyes. In despair, Rosemary calls for her son. In another corner of the abandoned city, journalist Luke wakes up in an apartment where candles are still burning. Luke steps out onto the streets, which are littered with clothes, as if people have literally vanished. Shadows begin to follow him. He wanders the streets, clutching several flashlights, his last line of defense. His attempts to start a car are unsuccessful. A stranger runs up to him and asks to share his light. His lighter has gone out, which means certain death. Luke locks the door, and the man disappears into the gathering darkness. While gathering supplies, Luke notices a girl with a flashlight watching him. In the pickup truck, he finds batteries and a gun. Step by step, he makes his way through the darkness and finds a source of light, a bar with a working generator. Inside is only one boy who is very frightened, and Luke calms him down. James tells him that his mother went to church in search of a holy spring. Luke insists that the generator won't last long and that they need to leave town. But James is a child who still believes that his mother will return. Suddenly, Rosemary appears. She is looking for her son Manny. Meanwhile, somewhere in the empty city, Paul lies on the asphalt with a broken head. With his last ounce of strength, he crawls toward his only source of hope, a bus stop lit by a solar panel. His goal is simple: to survive. His path lies through the darkness that has already claimed thousands of lives. At that moment, they hear a cry. Outside in the darkness, Paul is calling for help. Luke doesn't want to go out. He has already seen what the darkness is capable of. But Rosemary and teenager James convince him to help. Luke finds Paul and drags him into the bar. Paul is unconscious but alive. Rosemary examines his head and Luke bandages his leg. When he comes to, the projectionist whispers that he was hit, the flashlight started to go out, and an unknown person pushed him out into the street. But then the lights start to flicker again. Shadows gather on the windows. A decision is made: turn off everything unnecessary so that the generator will last longer. In the basement, James shows them the emergency exit. But Paul, tired of theories, furiously hits the generator. The lights go out, begin to flicker, and the shadows creep toward them again. At that moment, Paul tells them about the mysterious disappearance of the Roanoke colony. A place where no one was left, only the word Crotones scratched on the ground. For him, it's like the world has been reset. Paul's condition worsens, and he is laid on a table. Rosemary sends Luke for ice. And then the journalist suddenly understands everything. He remembers finding his girlfriend Paisha's dress in his office. And how the lights suddenly came on. Checking the camera footage, he sees that the girl has disappeared, right out of the frame. The screen shows a live broadcast from Chicago. There, the journalist claims to have heard the voice of his brother, who died 8 years ago. He warns that the shadows are manipulating people. They use the voices of loved ones to lure their victims. But he adds that the only thing you can trust is the light in your hands. He asks them to find him in Chicago. Luke convinces them that they need to get to Chicago. James stays with Paul while the others go after the car. Before leaving, Rosemary hangs a glowing stick around James' neck as a talisman. But she knows that the light will go out. Even new batteries don't help, the flashlight dims. The couple pushes the pickup truck toward the bar. It's their only chance of salvation. Inside, James turns on the jukebox to calm Paul down a little. The wounded man asks for a cold compress. But as soon as the boy leaves, Paul starts calling him, screaming. The light fades. The line between life and emptiness returns. Exhausted and at the end of their strength, Luke and Rosemary stop to catch their breath. Their conversation is full of pain, each remembers loved ones who may never return. Suddenly, a girl with a flashlight appears. She looks at them silently again and runs away as soon as Luke tries to approach her. Shadows approach, but at the last moment Rosemary turns on the pickup's headlights. As always, the light becomes their salvation. Meanwhile, Paul, who remained in the bar, notices that James has disappeared. Only the pendant with the glowing rod remains. He decides to go down to the basement. But the pickup's headlights begin to fade. Lack wants to make a torch, but the lighter is still in the bar. Without it, there is no spark, no chance. Rosemary grabs his hand. They run to the hospital where she once worked. Perhaps there is still a glimmer of hope within those walls. Meanwhile, Paul finds a secret exit from the bar and walks down a well-lit corridor. He hears James calling him to come closer. But it all ends in a dead end. Behind the last door is a solid brick wall. The lights go out and darkness does its work. In fact, Paul has been lying unconscious all this time. When James returns, all that remains of the man is a neatly folded pile of clothes. Rosemary finds matches. She lights a flashlight for Luke and goes to the pantry for alcohol. A child is crying outside the window. A stroller stands directly under a lamppost. But there is no one in it, it is a trap. Rosemary, deceived by her child's voice, walks toward her fate. Meanwhile, Luke ties the torch to the hood of the pickup truck and pushes the car toward the bar with his last ounce of strength. He connects the generator. The lights flicker. Time is running out. James gets behind the wheel but notices the church and, ignoring Luke's cries, rushes inside. Another mistake caused by hope. The car could stall at any moment. Luke drives off alone toward Chicago. On the bridge, he sees a strange word written in chalk, Crotone, a symbol repeated like a spell. In the church, James finds only candlelight and his mother's voice. But as before, it is an illusion. Only clothes lie behind the altar. Fortunately, Luke returns in time. But the light disappears and the candles go out. Shadows envelop him. But the boy does not give up, he repeats firmly, I exist. He clings to this thought as if it were his last thread of reality. And only with the first rays of the sun does it become clear, he has survived. A girl with a flashlight approaches him. Her name is Brianna. It is her bed, and it was the solar-powered flashlight that saved her life. Together with James, they set off on their journey. Outside, a horse eats apples that have fallen from a pickup truck. Now this is their means of transportation. They are heading for Chicago, where civilization may still exist. Or at least other survivors. Now the sun is setting. Shadows begin to slide across the walls again. Among them are the silhouettes of Paul, Rosemary, and Luke. Those who fought to the end. Those who lost, or perhaps became part of another reality. Darkness has enveloped almost everything. But as long as at least one flashlight is still lit, there is hope. What do you think of the film Disappearance on 7th Street? Was it scary enough to give you goosebumps, or is it a philosophical parable about human faith? Write your thoughts in the comments, and as always, don't forget to check if your flashlight is charged. See you in the next video.